So I'm a Bristol-based playwright and poet and theatre director. I've been living in Bristol on and off for about 20 years. My work is mainly in theatre, but I also write for screen and for radio. Oh, Princess and the Hustler is a play set in 1963 Bristol that opens on Christmas Day. It's centred around a family, a woman called Mavis and her two children, Princess and Junior. And it talks a lot about family and I suppose Bristol politics, but also about how easy it is for the dreams of young black girls to be broken by society and what that means for all of us, really. I wanted to write the play because it was quite important to tell the story of the Bristol bus boycott that happened in 1963 and led to some of the first inequalities legislation we've had in this country. But I also wanted to tell the story of a young black girl growing up in the West Country.
Absolutely.
It's a brilliant story about hope and magic and black girl joy, but it's also really about questioning how far we've really come when it comes to race relations in the city or in the country, because we've just got to keep having that conversation. But having lived in Bristol for, like I say, nearly 20 years, I felt it was time to write a story that was a kind of love letter to the city. It's looked after me. I wasn't a writer before I came here, and it's a city that still has a long way to go in terms of some things, but it's just how we allow ourselves as a city to dream of a better future, and Princess is very much an embodiment of that. So I am a really latecomer to the arts. I come from a background where there were no artists in my family. I spent much of my young life just being pushed towards academia, and I was happily going in that direction. But it wasn't until after I had my daughter in my mid to late 20s, that I went to a workshop at Bristol Vic, a 6-week workshop that was being run by a woman called Winsome Pinnock, who is a renowned award-winning playwright in this country. I didn't know any of that at the time, and I walked into a room and saw Winsome, and Winsome was this young black woman calling herself a playwright. I didn't even know what that was, really. And so I saw Winsome and I was like quite amazed that there was this black woman calling herself a playwright. And so I did the course with her and wrote my first play in those 6 weeks. Honest, the first art form that really got me was probably dance. And I remember just being amazed that I could tell what the story was, even though they were just dancing. Literature was my first love. I lived in books. I lived in my local library. I could imagine all the worlds, the characters. I could see them. And I remember reading Daphne du Maurier and actually seeing the characters and the kind of dramatic setting of the story and like feeling it. So I think that love of literature just kind of extended into a love of any form of storytelling. First time I see actors in costume, I still feel like some kind of magic has happened. You know, I remember the first time I saw the actress who was playing Princess, and she had on the full costume and her wig, and I just saw the character that has been living in my head, and like I still get goosebumps. I still go, is that really you? You know, I'm still that writer. What I'd like to say about anyone interested in getting involved in theatre is that every story matters. So every story you have about your life, about your friends, about your parents, about the little hobby that you like to do, about how you see the world, someone in theatre, someone coming into a theatre wants to hear that story. And so never give up on the idea that your stories matter. It just means that we sometimes have to wait a bit longer for other people to see the value of our stories. But I would say write it or do it, and don't worry about getting it right. There is no such thing as a perfect story. There's no such thing as a perfect play. What is important is that we keep telling our stories and that they become as important as so many other stories. That's it. Just write it. Don't try and get it right.
People with big muscles, structures made of steel. We're brought up to feel that that's what real strength is. How about making a week's meals for 3 people on 30 quid? How about paying for football boots and a new PE kit for a kid who doesn't even like sports just because the school has forced you to? How about getting on a coach down south so that your boy can audition for an advert or a show that you don't know he's going to get, spending money you can't really afford to spend but finding it somehow just because he loves it? How about insisting on telling your little man that regardless of the fact that his father abandoned him, he's more special than any of the 2.4 children he spends his time with, and instilling in him the confidence that he can do anything and be whoever he wants to be? If you avidly read the Daily Mail, you may have been persuaded that every offspring of a single parent is destined to fail. Well, look at me. I'm interminably confident, more than socially competent, not wanted for any illegal wrongdoings, and emotionally throughout my life could not have hoped for more. My single mother made and continues to make every sacrifice she can to open any door I ever wanted to walk through. Growing up, I never had the latest games console, and my coat wasn't always brand new, but it was always warm. I always had waterproof shoes, a belly full of hot home-cooked food, was never denied the opportunity for extracurricular pursuits, and I knew that I was loved. I'm an adult now, and she still continues to put my needs above hers and would move heaven and earth to prevent me or my sister feeling a second of hurt. I'm the son of a single mother, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Every day I'm grateful for the man that she's made of me and the fact that she never let me feel incomplete just because some dude didn't want to meet me. So take a bow, Sue. You're the bee's knees. My name is Alex Slater. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Manchester, and I am an actor, writer, and producer. I first got involved in the performing arts when I was about 7 years old, and I started going to weekly drama classes, like acting classes, improv and that kind of thing. And that was where I first learned properly that my favourite thing to do is tell stories and to make people laugh. My first memorable experience with the arts as a child was probably about a year or so after I'd started attending weekly drama classes. We put together a showcase, like a devised performance, all these separate little scenes that we did, and everyone's parents came to watch, and it was in a crummy little dilapidated church hall, and it was freezing. It was in the middle of the winter. Everybody had scarves on inside, but everybody sat and watched the things that we'd made. And I just remember standing there at the end and everybody clapping and feeling really proud of myself. Was I ever scared? Yes, often, frequently, all the time, still. I think that it's good to have a little bit of fear. And I think that somebody with no nerves is somebody who is completely unaware of their own shortcomings and possible pitfalls, which is a very dangerous thing. Now, as an adult, I suppose I approach fear in a different way. I try not to run from it. I try to use it and utilize it as a means of inspiring me and motivating me and galvanizing me into doing the best that I can possibly do. The first time I shared my work with someone else, I suppose, was at a spoken word night. I wrote some spoken word in terms of something that I'd written myself. I shared it in front of an audience and I was absolutely terrified. My right leg shakes when I get nervous and it was all over the place. I remember it very clearly. How did I overcome the experience? I suppose I just tried to engage with it as much as I could. I tried to just think about the words and not about anything else, not about people's reactions or their opinions of what I was doing. I just tried to focus on the thing that I was actually performing and put my head purely in the performance. I think there are many ways that young people can engage with the performing arts. There are free arts events and cultural events in every city in the country. There are museums and there are live performances that you can go and attend for free, regardless of your financial or personal circumstances. And also, art is free to make. Anybody can write anything. If you can speak, then you can write, because writing is just speaking on paper. And so I would encourage any young person who has a desire to get involved in the arts to write something, write anything. And there are also an infinite number of avenues for you to promote your work online. I think the performing arts groups outside of school are invaluable. They taught me so many life skills that I use in so many different aspects of life. They teach you how to talk to people, they teach you how to present yourself, how to conduct yourself. They give you confidence with your physicality, with your voice. I think that they're absolutely invaluable, and I think that almost anybody can benefit from spending some time on a stage. If I was to say anything to young people who want to get involved in the performing arts, it would just be do it. Do as much as you can. Go to as many things as you can. Watch as many things as you can. Listen to as many things as you can. Make yourself a part of things that are happening. And like I said before, just create, create, create. It is free to make things, and it is cathartic, and it is fulfilling. It is something that I believe everybody should try and do at least one point in their life. It will bring you lots of joy, and anybody from any walk of life can create a masterpiece.